What does it mean to live in a world shaped by war and climate crisis at the same time? Not just to survive, but to care, to belong, and to imagine a future. For millions of people in South Asia and Eastern Africa, this question is not just metaphorical. It is everyday life. My dissertation, Warring and Warming Worlds, studies contemporary novel from these regions to ask an urgent question. What can world literature teach us about living in damaged worlds? World literature is often understood as books that travel across the globe in forms of prices, translation, and global circulation. But this focus can be extractive. By extraction, I mean reading world literature for what it can provide to the global market, rather than attending to the worlds and responsibilities that these texts represent. My research, however, shifts the focus from how world literature gains and acquires prestige to how it can help us save our precarious planet. To name this reading methodology and the emerging canon, I've coined the concept of the catastrotopic. My theorization of the catastrotopic combines the word catastrophe, meaning disaster, and rupture with topos, meaning place and recurring theme. The catastrotopic narratives name stories in which war, droughts are represented, as well as new forms of world-making are represented. World-making rooted in community, care, and multi-species relation. Reading this canon also shows us how politics, ecology, and survival are never inseparable. They're always entangled. Let me give you an example. In the novel Beneath the Lion's Case by Maza Mengiste, war is represented not just as human conflict, but the Ethiopian land itself carries memories. Memories of drought. Drought that because of political violence and lack of human intervention becomes famine, killing humans and non-humans alike. In other words, violence against the human mirrors violence against the environment. In my research and teaching, I argue that reading world literature is not just an act of imagination and escape, but these stories, especially those rooted in indigenous knowledge and lived experiences, are forms of world making. They do not offer simple solutions, but they can offer us orientation. The poet Joy Harjo writes, "Remember the earth whose skin you are." And in my research, I argue that world literature from Global South shows us exactly how to do that. Thank you.